We'll sit down. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nate Watkins, it's nice to have you here.
Well, thank you.
You're going to say a few words for us?
Yeah, let's pray. God, we're grateful tonight for these men and women who serve in leadership for the village of Walton. I pray that you give them wisdom and courage and love for the people who they represent, who have inalienable rights granted by you, our Creator, protected by our Constitution. I pray this because I know it honors you, and so we give it all to you. In your name, amen.
Amen.
While we're still standing, I would just like to say a few words that we lost a rather important person this morning who was, he's been sick for a while, but we lost Paul Auser this morning. He was chief here, or not chief, he was a sergeant here in our department. He was a village justice for a while. He has been serving as the town justice. So I think there's a big hole now, and it's going to be tough to fill.
Definitely will.
Definitely will be. So just take a few moments for him. Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Alrighty. We're going to go to the public hearing right now on the codification. What is the proper procedure on this, Madam Clerk?
You need to make a motion to enter into, open the public hearing.
Okay. Did somebody make a motion to open up the public
I
hearing?
make that motion.
Second. Motion made, second to open public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And
Any questions, comments, or anything on the new code?
How far back do the codes go? This is a codification of all of the laws or resolutions that we have. How far of a period does this cover?
It's not a codification of the resolution, it's a codification of the village code. Right?
right, and they
Yeah.
updated,
Steve,
yeah, they updated, took some of the older
old stuff.
obsolete things out.
And is this in digital form also, or only available here in printed form?
When it gets passed, it will be available.
There's a digital copy. It's not put up yet.
Okay, thank you.
It's gonna take a little long time.
Any other questions? Close it.
Yep. Need a motion?
Motion for closing?
Motion?
Motion made, seconded to close it out.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Now,
Then you would just pass the resolution to accept the codification, if you guys so choose.
I would move we pass such a resolution.
Second.
motion made, second to accept the resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right.
On to the next.
On to the next. Public input.
Am I the only public?
You're the only public. You got anything to
Well, we
bring
have a
forward?
town supervisor here.
Yeah, we don't pay attention to Joe.
Well, I was wondering for something with the town and also the village. We have, you know, the Park Veterans Plaza there. And, you know, a lot of community activities happen there, as you know. We were wondering about possibly getting water or frost-proof hydrant there for, like I said, some of the things we have in the summertime would be, you know, like, we were there at 100 degrees and there's no shade really. And we put like little swimming pools in for, I think, some of the concerts there. And we had to haul water from down the road at Renrest, which wasn't a big deal. But the thing is, you know, just having waters to have people drink, you know, we were hauling water and filling up jugs just for people to drink, like the art walk and stuff like that. What we were wondering is if the village could cut a deal with the town to give them a good deal on frost-proof hydrant there, just to use for any kind of community activities. Some of the things, we had the cruise in a couple of years ago, and we were trying to get vendors for the Lions Club that was running it, or supporting it, and to get food vendors, they needed water there. That was a big thing, so it's just something that I would think that would be good for the village to support the town and give them free water or a reduced rate on water.
There was a water
Non-meter.
service there and the town wanted it removed when Supervisor Gregory at that time wanted the water service removed, so that's what the village did, I believe.
Do you have any comment on that?
I think the mayor and I will get together and discuss not only that, but other options that we have been discussing for Water Street in that whole area. We've been working well together for the first phase of that. Is, you know, if you go down there, you can see it. And we've already set the stage to continue clearing that area out this coming spring and summer. But we did mention that a while ago, so we'll bring it back up. We'll discuss it, come up with a plan. I'm sure there's something we can do to come to an agreement on that. But more to follow.
Yeah.
How's that?
Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds good, Joe.
Sounds real good.
Anything else?
No, I was just thirsty over the summer.
All right then, we'll go to abstracts and payments and invoices.
Was there
Oh,
anything else?
yes, forgot we had a guest over here.
Hello everyone, my name is Joey Amber. In 2018 I finished my Eagle Scout project, and for my fundraiser I raised, I don't know how much, but in excess I have $516, which will be donated to the Village Parks Department to be used to build new benches for around the village. So, that's all I have.
Wow.
Can we get a photo of the mayor?
Oh, you wrote the amount on there.
Is that
You're
cash?
supposed to write the amount on there. I could just-
Can you make the mayor count that in front of Steve?
No.
When's the last time a kid gave cash to the village for improvement?
He's a good boy.
Can we include you, Brian, as part of the
Oh.
Parks Department in the picture? Thank you.
Come on, you're not getting away. Here we go.
Okay, here we go, this is better. Okay, look this way, gentlemen. Fantastic, thanks so much.
Can you guys,
Thank you.
can you look at the camera real quick? Smile.
Joe's making me laugh. He always makes me laugh.
And good, thank you. Joey, what was the main part of the fundraising? I mean, what did you do specifically?
I held a spaghetti dinner at my church, and it was just donation for a plate, so.
Wow.
I know I raised over $1,000 total.
Nice job.
Wow,
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right, you're nice, thank you. All right, now we'll go to abstracts, payments, and invoices.
I move that we pay the abstracts.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to pay the abstracts, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Department heads. Chief. That was a nice little laugh. You didn't like being first in line?
So everybody got the monthlies, right?
Yes. Monthly end or
Yearly.
yearly? Yep, yep, nice.
So in other business, with the new laws and bail reform laws and speed trials and all this stuff that the governor's pushing through or has pushed through, I feel that there's a real need for a live scan system at the PD, and what that is, it's electronic fingerprinting. It's done by biometrics. There is a grant that's available right now. The overall system is $20,000.
It's cheaper than I thought it would be. I was
Yeah.
thinking around 40.
Yeah. And there's a matching grant up to 50%, depending on different factors that the US puts in place. As of right now, we have one officer that's designated once a week to go to Delhi and back and forth to scan in fingerprints. Takes them out of the village. And that being said, with the new laws and as quickly as we're gonna have to get paperwork from our district attorney's office, that could at least double him running back and forth to get those scanned in. So I was looking for permission to go ahead with this. It's a $20,000, it's not gonna cost any more than that. And again, the deadline for the grant
Grant
is
application.
Monday. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Monday.
It brings us into the state of New York's processing system, right?
Right, and what this will do, unlike the last one we had, that it was not a good system.
Yeah, it failed.
Right,
It didn't
yeah, it
work
didn't
properly.
work, yeah, you had to double, it was almost double the time to do the fingerprinting.
Right.
This will have everything that we need, it'll go right into our system, all the fingerprints, everything that we put in for the person, it'll just generate right into the other computer, so it's a whole different system than what we used to have. So I think it's gonna unfortunately become a very important tool for us to keep our efficiency up, along with what the requirements are gonna be made by the state.
Is this the one everyone else is locked into right now?
Yes, that's what everybody else is
So we
going.
didn't have that originally,
Well, we had a version of it.
right?
And again, I don't know what other municipalities had at the time, whether or not their upgrades, software upgrades, it was kind of one of those things where they put this out there and they had us on the hook, and then it didn't do what the departments or the municipalities didn't want it to do. And then we went back to see if we could do something like that. It was, oh, this is an extra $5,000, this is an extra $7,000 to upgrade the program.
Right,
So-
we disengaged because it was cost prohibitive.
Right, right. So this is everything right down to the nuts and bolts.
Without prohibition.
Right. And it comes, there's 2-year maintenance included with it, and, so there's an upkeep that comes along with that $20,000 ceiling limit.
Who's the grant through?
It's through DCGS,
You said it's
50% grant, yes. And again, it's not a guarantee that we're gonna get it. It's not a guarantee we're gonna get half of it. It's not we might get a quarter, we might get 0. But again, with the new laws in place,
It's gonna have to be.
the increasing cost of having somebody
Because you're
back
gonna have
and
somebody
forth.
Well,
Out of the village.
It keeps all of our cops on patrol.
Well, it does that too, and again, I think the last grant was 6 or 7 years ago where this was an available thing, so they don't offer this every year. And it's kind of short notice where it's, all of a sudden, here it is. So, I wish I had a little bit more time to plan for it, but it's
urgent.
yeah, it's kind of an urgent thing, and it's not like it's been in for months.
Right.
This hasn't been out there for a long time, so, not to spring it on to you.
Okay.
Do you have money in the budget, Joe, to purchase this outright if the grant fails?
Yes,
So you have an extra 20,000 laying around in the police budget?
I wouldn't necessarily call it
Laying around.
I would say, however,
Well,
that
the taxpayers would want to know.
well, we are scheduled for a new vehicle this year, and that has been budgeted. And that may have to take a back seat for right now, because I believe this is more important than, maybe we can limp through if need be.
Okay.
And if we have the matching grant, and it's $10,000, that would be a little bit easier to swallow than the full $20,000, so. But I believe I do have money in the budget right now, should have, with the vehicle that was budgeted, so. That would be where I would be taking the money from. And again, I have to put the money up front, and then the grant comes in afterwards, is how it works.
Have you seen an uptick so far, bail reform coming into effect?
Well, for an example, Walton PD, I think, made one of the first arrests this year in the county, go figure. We also made one of the first arrests that didn't match up with the bail reform, so he went to Delaware County Jail, which I think is a nice little push. But anyways, he had stolen a vehicle in Poughkeepsie the week before the first of the year, on New Year's Eve. And our guys were out patrolling, of course, and saw him in Ace Hardware. And it's kind of unknown right now if he was maybe casing Ace Hardware or he was looking to see. But he was in another stolen vehicle after he got released down in Poughkeepsie because of the bail reform, which would have helped them. So he presented the person's identification that the car was to the police officer, and that's what put him in jail. Not the fact that he'd stolen the car twice, a different car, obviously, different, but because he had issued the, this is who I am, and you're like, no, this is who you are. So I'm sure we're gonna see an uptick of, there's not the threat of it, I don't wanna say the word threat, but there's not the deterrence anymore that you're gonna see with some of these, I can go steal a car and I just gotta come back to court. Now, it's not saying he's not gonna go to jail eventually, but he has to come back to court. So that's, it's gonna be a lot less, I feel anyways.
So what would you like to do with the fingerprinting machine?
Who has to submit
The grant?
The police department does,
Police department
and
does?
we'll have that done by close of business Friday.
So what we need is a motion to approve.
I would say the whole purchase, because it has to be paid for all front. And if he
No,
gets the grant,
if we're not purchasing it yet, he just wants to apply for the grant right now.
No, we're gonna have to purchase
We have
it.
to-
Before you even
Right.
see if you're doing the grant?
I'm doing the grant will be done by Friday,
Right,
right.
but lots of times when you're doing grant things, you can't purchase it ahead of time and then get reimbursed.
This, I think, is the exact opposite, Jody, from what I've
We're
read.
just gonna need to be sure.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure and there again, I believe it's gonna be a necessary tool that we're gonna need going forward.
Right, I get that, I'm not
Right.
arguing that point, I'm just saying, lots of times with grants, if you go ahead and you spend the money, they're gonna say, you've got the money, why do we need to
No, this is.
give you funding?
Right, this is a reimbursement, and one of the categories is where I budgeted the money from and how I showed, and I think according to what I'm reading is, being that I'm taking it away from the police car, and I just don't have $20,000 laying around in the police budget, that it's gonna show more favorable that I actually had to take something away from our department to gain access to that, so I think we'll be more apt to get money back on a grant.
Right, I'm just saying, you could do your motion any way you want to, we just gotta be double sure
That we
that
don't
before we
buy it, right, of
order
course,
it,
right,
that it's not gonna
Right.
take away from your grant application.
right.
So you just tell me what you want in your motion to be.
I'd make the motion that we purchase the fingerprint and apply for the grant.
I second that. Motion made, seconded to purchase the fingerprint machine. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Now, you need authorization to apply for the grant. You have to do that.
That's part of the motion.
Yeah,
Is that
Nate
right?
kinda added that on the end of
Okay,
your.
yeah, that's.
Right, yeah.
What else you got for us, chief?
Well, I'm looking to have a CPR and AED training. The cost per officer is between $11 and $12 per officer. That has to do with just basically the state CPR cards. That's what the cost. The first training that I'd start sending some of the guys to would be January 28th, depending on the scheduling. I would get at least the midnight guy, whoever's working midnight that day. They would stay over and go, I think it's the Walton Fire Department actually. And then the same day, there's an afternoon, so I would catch the afternoon guys coming in for that, and then whoever else, we would probably pick it up at the police department where we can get in the rest of the guys. But I'm expecting that to cost, right around $80, and that's for, 7 officers that would need it.
That's all within your budget.
Right, yeah, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion made, seconded to pay for CPR for 7 personnel? What you said, 7?
Yes.
7 personnel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Then there's one more. So.
You're asking for a
Yeah, I
lot
know.
tonight, buddy.
Brought the book and everything tonight. Because the way the wording is of these laws, and I hate to keep harping on this new law. So right now, it's okay to possess methamphetamine, but not marijuana. You can go to jail for possessing marijuana. I would expect there's gonna be more people that are gonna be involved with this kind of stuff. There already are a lot of people. So, and again, we've talked about this, I think, before, as far as a Narcan training, bringing that on board, not only for police officers, but have it in our cars and ready to go. Delhi Police is holding a training, and I'm only bringing this up now because it's February 13th. So I don't know, next month, you know, whatever happens, I just wanna make sure I can get this in. It's no cost. There's no registration costs or material fee costs or anything like that. It's just pretty much gonna cost whatever the, you know, the hourly wage is, so, for the, you know, whoever's going up there, right? And I'm looking again, 7 to 8 officers to go on that, if we're gonna need the Narcan training.
Now, are we gonna be able to get somebody to be, like, train the trainer, so we have a trainer down here?
Yes, yeah, that's gonna be my goal too. Once we get through this, then we'll figure out who's gonna be that person, the liaison or whatever, to go and be able to train other people.
Okay.
So that is my goal, to do that.
Now, is that everybody all at once, or you're gonna do that in a couple of phases?
No, that's gonna be, all at once training. It's a one-time training at the police department there. And I believe they're gonna have, you know, spoken for other people. So we have obviously a couple people that are already trained in Narcan. So they'll hopefully be able to work that day and cover the shifts. It's from, I think it starts at 3 o'clock that day. So we'll all go to Delhi, leave one guy here, a part-time guy that is already trained in it. Won't be certified or anything yet, so he'll work the shift. The rest of us will all go up in one shot and get the training done.
Do we need to purchase the Narcan units, or do we already?
I'm gonna, you know what, Nate, I'm gonna find more information out about that when I go to the training and see exactly what we're gonna need, but from what I understand, it doesn't cost the municipalities any, it's pretty much
That's part of the program.
part of the program.
Okay.
Right, state sponsors it, gives it out, furnishes it. And we would have, you know, one at the police department, and we'd have, you know, one in each car, so we'd be looking for 3 different kits at least.
Okay. So you're looking for a motion for permission to send the guys up?
I move that we send the officers for the Narcan training.
Second.
Motion made second, excuse me, to send 7 guys up for training. I've said that again, 7, right?
Yes.
7 guys up for training Delhi for Narcan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah, I think that's it. Okay.
Do you have a vendor, Joe, for the purchase of the fingerprint scan machine? And was the exact cost 20,000, or was it up to 20,000? Who's the vendor?
So the vendor's Biometrics,
Okay.
and after speaking with the company today, they, what we need, what I want is a little bit more than $20,000, but they would compensate us, so it'd be right at $20,000. Does it? Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
You got anything for the chief?
No.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
You see the camera flying this way.
It's okay, it's not my camera.
Bill Brown.
Thank you.
Oh, he's over there. I'm gonna say where?
Mind the wire.
They say hiding.
Now you show up, Butch.
How level is it? Pretty level, actually,
Butch,
why don't you take it up there so we can see it in that camera up there, just so we can see what it's like of that.
Yeah.
See, you get on video instead of a
Yeah.
photograph.
Yeah, we'll do action cam here.
Is that the one going in my building?
Yes. No, we'll probably wanna go in your building,
Go
choke
right
down
in.
further yet, Bob.
Who are you representing?
Wow.
Put your face on the other
Is
end.
it the Lions Club?
There we go. That actually would be a good picture. Do it.
The public?
Okay, never mind.
The
I got enough. Yeah.
No, can I see?
Anybody in the building?
You ever seen one before, Joe?
We the people.
Too many times.
By the way, what is that?
Piece of a water main.
It's part. Okay, it's a piece of water main.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, everybody had a copy of the handout. Start off on a couple things other than that. At the wastewater treatment plant, there was a funding application submitted for doing flow and infiltration work in the collection system. That was not awarded. So you can decide in the next round if we want to try to pursue it again and shift the others. The flows coming into the wastewater treatment plant are higher than the amount of water that should be coming in. So that's been the goal, is to try to identify and mitigate that to reduce the operational costs of the facility. So that's been inflow and infiltration, water leaking into
Who do we apply to?
New York State EFC, environmental facilities. So
That's you also awarded.
the water, yeah, just a different program, but that's where the water grant was awarded through, it's the same agency. There's a flow meter that the village authorized purchase of 2 months ago, that's on order and scheduled to go in, and that was a New York City cost. Shepherd Street, no real update there. We do have some follow-up work with some storm drainage to look at in this spring. I guess my main target tonight, or discussion point, is on the water system. The village was awarded the week before Christmas a grant in the amount of $1.2 million from New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation in the way of a Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant. The grant covers 60% of project cost. The estimated project cost is $2 million, $1.2 million in grant. And then the remainder would be a loan, which we could go through EFC, which is providing the grant, or look at other options with local banks and other funding agencies that they could provide more favorable terms. The village received a letter from EFC asking for signature on a letter of intent to move forward with the grant to be due back, I think it's the 17th of this month. That letter, again, a letter of intent, it's not a formal declaration that you're going to proceed forward with the project at this time, but it holds the money, so to speak. If we don't authorize that now, it would be de-obligated, and they could use it in another community, and the village wouldn't be eligible for it. There will be other opportunities as the funding process moves forward, where the actual finance applications would be signed and authorized, and then ultimately if and when you award construction contracts and engineering contracts and stuff like that, that's when you're really committing to spending dollars. At this stage, it's a paperwork item. So we are asking the village to consider approving the letter of intent, which would be signed by the mayor, and then we would put in a tentative schedule, which would generally be doing paperwork this year, and then potentially construction in 2021. So that would be the rough target, and it's, again, it's not a formal commitment saying you have to start this day or stop that day. With the financing program, you have 5 years from when you close on the loan initially to have it wrapped up. So we would anticipate one construction season and hopefully bid it around the first of the year. Award it and start in the spring and be done, before the blacktop plant's closed in the fall. Would be the goal.
So the only deadlines for finance obligations are within that 5-year period?
Right, from when you close on the initial ban, which that in and of itself would be for several months from today. That would be the finance agreement that you would approve once you have all your upfront paperwork completed. So if we sign this letter today, in a couple of weeks, you'll get another letter from EFC saying these are the things you need to provide to close on your loan. Your bond anticipation note, which is a year-to-year, line of credit, more or less, on the loan portion of the project to fund it, and then when the project is done, that whatever you've taken out on that band is rolled into a long-term 28 to 30-year bond with EFC or potentially the bank or another funding agency. And it's really, I look at it as a non-banker like a mortgage.
How much is the mortgage for?
So the loan would be for up to $800,000, which is 40% of the project cost. And the way that would translate, there's a stack of paper here. So we looked at a couple options for presenting the financing of the project. So a couple of them. The loan would be for up to $800,000, assuming an interest rate of 4%, which again, I'm not a banker and I can't quote you an exact interest rate. But based on where interest rates are today, that the funding agency has closed on similar projects is in that 3 to 4% range. So assuming that rate, the annual payment on $800,000 is $46,000 and change, and divided amongst the users in the water system on a quarterly basis translates to about $10 per quarter. On the flip side, if the funding wasn't available and the project was implemented and you had to borrow $2 million, it'd be $25 a quarter. So the funding provides an opportunity for the village to pay 40 cents on the dollar to replace water mains that are 80-ish years old.
More.
Past their period of positive, useful life.
Because actually, this pipe here is actually underestimating what even that is, going to choke down even more than that.
The goal is to replace, for the most part, 4-inch water line throughout the village that's undersized for today's current standards and providing clean drinking water and appropriate fire flows in the village. So replacing water mains and also some repairs at one of the well houses and some repairs at the 2 water tanks up by White Rock is the scope of the project.
I don't know if you guys looked at the map, those other 2
Yes.
streets are just in case
Right, if we
things
could
came
get-
under
if we could
budget,
get
we had
bids.
some other places, but.
Right. This application was this project was looked at when this program first came out, either 4 or 5 years ago. The village applied for just replacing water lines for 3 years in a row, was not approved. Last year, the project was revised to include work at the tanks and the well, so it had, it was affecting not just the people on a given street, but everybody's water, is affected by the tank and the well. So it had a broader system impact. Last year it wasn't awarded, this year it was. And this program, during our tenure, having 60% of a, project funded is better, is a good opportunity compared to other, projects and funding tracks that have been
Yeah,
completed.
what was the last project? That was,
The USDA project in 2010 to 12 was about 10% grant.
yeah.
So, $4 million project, and I think 400,000 or so came in grant, the rest was loans. So this is from that aspect, a better opportunity.
You said EFC provides some of the lowest interest rates on
Correct.
these types of things?
They, again, and I think we got some quotes from some of the local banks. And,
Jody's been on the phone talking to other banks and stuff, see what we get for a good rate.
The clerk shops for the best rate.
She does.
So, and what we've seen on prior loan closings has been that EFC has, provided rates that are lower than some of what the local banks have provided in recent years. So, again, the approval tonight isn't formally committing to the project even. It's basically holding the money, to allow the process to continue to play out.
And explore more options, should there be.
Right, it doesn't, if there are other opportunities that we're not aware of to offset some of the $800,000, you can certainly, look towards those. The other, entities that we've worked with on past projects, we've tried that route, here, and we're either not eligible, or if we were eligible, that for them, we aren't now because we have this opportunity from EFC. Like USDA, it's on a need basis. So if you are awarded funding from one entity, another entity is going to say, well, I'm going to put my money somewhere else because you were already awarded, money from EFC in this case. Has been our experience.
Yeah, I don't want us to be on the hook for $2 million, 100%. Or some.
I think both Jody's here burn up right there on the spot.
On the water capital budget, we've got now, you added $10 a month to that.
Right, it's at 4165 at the moment. So it would be up to like 52. What's that?
Are we coming out ahead of time?
We're right at where we're supposed to be. Yeah.
So this is just big increase, $40 a year per project.
What I understand, the capital portion of the bill has gone down over the last 10 years or so.
Right, when we did that big project,
2010, 11.
yeah, it was at $55. So we were able to bring that down to 4165 over the years.
So
So
even doing this is not gonna be as high as it was.
not as high as it was, no.
That's what we start taking advantage of.
It's an opportunity to pay 40 cents on the dollar to replace water mains that need to be replaced. And if it's not something that's done today, they're not going to be in any better condition and have
They're not going to fix themselves.
less build up and such in 5 or 10 years and
Cost more.
cost more.
So I make a motion that we go forward with the letter of intent.
Motion made second to go ahead with the letter of intent. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
A couple other items the village had applied to CWC to move forward with funding for design for replacement of the Third Brook Bridge at Delaware Street. CWC reviewed that application and requested a formal letter from DOT that they would be a partner, so to speak, in the project, in that they would issue permits for the project, assuming it's all done to their spec. And that ultimately, if and when the project's done, that DOT would assume ownership and maintenance of the bridge, being that it would be along the state route 10 and 206. And they also asked for us to ask, which we've already done, but if DOT would contribute money. We've been told no to date, but it's worth asking again. So we prepared a draft letter for the village to consider sending to DOT, requesting a letter so that we can send it to CWC to move forward with the application to get funding for a design, which will then be used as a basis to seek funding for building a bigger, replacing the existing culvert that's jammed up during flood events.
Thank you.
With likely a wider span bridge that could better pass them and wouldn't overtop and have water running into all the businesses there. So, just more or less, I guess, an FYI thing. It's not, again, not committing the village to anything, but that's what we're looking at there.
Motion for that letter.
Yeah, we can do it as a motion.
Make a motion.
Second?
Motion made second for a letter to be sent to state DOT to help confirm the Third Brook Bridge on Delaware.
Yeah, the participation.
Route 10, 206.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
I knew what I was saying, I knew what was going on in my head. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
The only other thing we have, I don't know if we have to ask, but I think we're processing it. We did, village had some good news from Senator Metzger's office, relative to funding for, upgrades to the garage. So I think we got a letter that, we're eligible for up to 200,000 in DASNY, in a DASNY grant, to go towards the cost of that project. So, again, that project hasn't kicked off or commenced formally yet. It would start by an application being submitted to DASNY, and usually ends up taking a year, sometimes more, to go through the DASNY process to potentially lock in money from that agency, which was secured, by Senator Metzger's office, for replacement of a portion of the highway department.
And there's no matching obligation funding, is it?
The application, the initial outreach to them was that there was a project that was in the neighborhood of $400,000 to replace that building, and then in looking at a $400,000 project, they offered $200,000 to go towards it. So there isn't a formal match to the $200,000, but it was, the award was based on, a $400,000 project. So,
$200,000's gotta come up from somewhere, so.
somewhere else, so.
And there again, Jody did some calling around and got that ball going, which was really good, thank you.
And if we continue to pursue alternate funding, other available grants, does that affect this grant application?
There are some caveats. You can't use other state dollars for local matches. There's some other programs, like the WIA grant has the 40% local match. You can't use DASNY dollars. If you had been awarded a DASNY grant to go towards a project, you couldn't use that to offset, state dollars. So if there's dollars from other sources, local or, federal or wherever it may be, that they wouldn't see that as, double dipping is probably not the right term, but, you can seek funding through other sources without a doubt.
I would move that we go ahead with that grant application.
Second.
Motion made, second to go ahead with the grant for the 200,000 for the highway garage. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Bill?
That's it.
That's good.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Smith. Look at what you can clear a room.
Good job doing it.
Everybody? Everybody got a report?
No. Seriously, no.
Did you send it?
Gotta get one. What happened? What do you got then?
Who just said it?
Good.
Are you asking for anything?
No, we're not asking for anything.
And
Everything was pretty much typical winter time, other than the water leak we had on Christmas Eve.
oh my God.
Yep.
We're thinking it's possible side effect of the wall installation over there,
The what?
the wall installation, the vibration. It's old, so we replaced the valve and the very old hydrant over there that wasn't working the greatest. So, other than that, you just salted the streets 11 times, plowed the streets twice. Then our typical dig saves, firewood, your water shut-offs, water protection.
Since I crashed the budget, CPW budget for these.
Right around, not counting the guys and the labor, about $4,000 in parts.
And that was a cheaper deal on that.
That was cheaper, yeah.
Because you got a hydrant
I was
cheaper
guessing
and,
over 5,000.
but you got a hydrant you had in storage, it was quite a good price, so.
So,
Could have been worse, but.
and of course, in the process of that problem, we had found another valve in the street over there that does not work the greatest, so. Along with water main issues, we have a lot of valves that don't work, right, Joe? So. Other than that, everything else is good. So you guys didn't see where I was gonna do the proposed work in January 2020, the sunny and 70 dance?
Please do.
Sunny and the sunny is.
Does it start here?
No, we're not prepped for
I'm
it.
sorry.
We're not prepped for it. Any questions for Butch?
How many hours were you guys out there at Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve, we started that project right around noon, and then we finished up about 8:30. And then we went back Thursday and redid it, because we had to replace the hydrant and that kind of thing. And the street over there is definitely settling from that, so I'll have to do some blacktop repairs, but
Yeah, you can see where it's cracked and settled.
no.
Hopefully now that the sheet piling's in there, it'll stop doing that and get it built back up.
We actually had
Stay.
two wells running that day when Matt was doing chores, and the water tank level was still dropping. So,
Well, our thanks to you and the guys for coming out and doing that on Christmas Eve.
no problem. The weather was great.
Yeah. I know, I was feeling so bad the guys had to be out there to do the work, but they're all saying, it's not below zero.
Could've been a whole lot
And it's not
worse.
raining, it's not snowing. I said, well, that's a way to keep a positive attitude, but still. It's Christmas Eve.
It was Christmas.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. You guys did a good job.
So, yeah, so that's it.
Right, okay.
Oh,
Thank
and
Oh, wait, oh,
Just hopefully, the street company's supposed to be coming to town here.
that's right, I forgot to mention
They
that.
found our bulbs.
They did, yes.
Excellent.
And I just went through the village of Roxbury Friday night, and they have all LED streetlights over there, and they look nice.
Yeah. We have one at the corner of.
Last in Townsend.
Yeah. And that's,
And there's one out on 206 too, there's a new one by, what's the road that goes up to Babcock? I forgot that street. By the farm. I can't remember, but it's on 206.
they're gonna stage all this stuff up at the swimming pool.
They
And
got
all
a
that.
little parking lot when they come in.
Storage box, couple, 3 trucks and.
When I talked to them, they were hoping to be here within 2 weeks, and I think that 2 weeks has actually gone by now. So at any time, I'm expecting to be coming.
Well, they were doing a lot better than I expected when I called them. They were other side of Binghamton heading east, so got here quicker than I thought. So that's good. As they get here, start doing it.
And I'll try to find out where your reports went.
They're off in
They're out there,
space.
They're in the crowd.
They're in the cloud. There you go.
What did it send? Yes, it sent.
Russell
Thanks,
Road.
Butch.
It's not 206, it's Russell Road. It's right on the corner of Franklin Road and Russell.
Oh.
Wow, you're way off.
I'm totally gone.
Don't ask for
You can get
directions.
to 206 that way.
Right, but not, yeah. Not if you spit.
Mr. Dutcher.
Sir?
I thought we were gonna do Jason.
Oh, I already marked him, I marked him off as why.
Yes.
I already marked you as done, Jason.
You should've told me that.
You got mine too, did you get it?
I've got your,
Yep.
Any
I'm
questions?
not on the list.
We're on the list.
Should bring to,
yes, she's still on the list. He's on. We'll see.
she saves them for me.
Trying to give you an excuse. Any questions on said report? I'll have a yearly tally by next month. I usually compile that. I have to do a state report every year. So when I compile the state report, compile a yearly tally for you as well.
No current lawsuits?
No? Would you like one?
No.
Okay.
Saw that you had a PowerPoint presentation that you have couples to look at. I have, excuse me, I haven't looked at all of it, I peeked at it. You want to present that to the board meeting?
That's entirely up to you two. I thought
Okay.
Eric and I would have a discussion.
Okay.
And, I looked through it. Important one to have. Yeah, ultimately, I would like it publicized, yes, so, or do it publicly, so, put the rearrange in here, I'll do it, figure that out. Just so you don't think we're talking in circles, it's a presentation about the Mead Street Bridge area.
Yes.
Compiled the numbers together as I told you I wanted to do. Worked with the assessor, got some real world numbers to discuss. Present it to you and you can figure out where to go from there as far as whether you want to charge forward with flood mitigation in that area. As we stated before, that's kind of the desire of the Flood Commission was to move forward up Westbrook. That seemed to be kind of the next area that made sense, so. Let's see all the particulars in the presentation.
Did they make it? The presentation?
What?
The Flood Commission?
No, I didn't.
Oh, excellent.
On the flood topic, community rating system. I have my 5-year update, which is a full scoring of our CRS activities. That is scheduled for August 6th. We'll actually do both the town and the village like we did on the initial scoring. So, got plenty of time. I'm not concerned about getting the information together. My desire was to get to a 7 with some changes. At this point, I'm hoping to stay at an 8, quite frankly. We're just gonna have to see how things go. We have done a lot more since our initial scoring 5 years ago, so I don't think we're gonna be in too bad a shape to at least keep the 8. Again, my goal always was to get to a 7, so.
What is our score now, Steve?
Our score currently is an 8, which is a 10% discount on flood insurance. 7 would be a 15% discount on flood insurance, so. So yeah, I'll be working at that, getting that information together. And
I'm sure with what you got figured out for Westbrook too, would probably.
yeah, well, we had one of our sister communities just go through a rescoring. They got dinged pretty hard because our all hazards plan isn't in place. We were due for an annual update on that in 2018. It's gotten delayed because the county is now working with the state to create an online all hazards mitigation plan that is more easily updated, et cetera, et cetera. They just, a couple of months ago, signed the contract to work with, I think it's SUNY Albany. So the county planning will be working with SUNY Albany to develop this online all hazard mitigation plan update tool. So my concern there is that it's not going to get developed in time. We've got town and village each somewhere in the neighborhood of 237 points from our all hazards mitigation plan, which is actually a very good score for all hazard mitigation. And if we don't get this in place, our sister community that just went through it, I think they got 20 points for all hazards mitigation for not having it in place.
Right.
So, so that would be a huge ding. That's why I'm concerned about, whether we're even going to keep the 8 at this point. So we'll have to see. And I'm making a phone call on a weekly basis to the county. Where are we and when's it start?
Who are we talking to at the county?
Anybody that will talk to me, Kristen, Shelley. So try to prod that along as much as I can to try to get that in place. Don't want to lose those points.
Joe, you got any influence up there?
You can just ask.
So, that's all I got, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll backtrack to Jason, since I put a check mark before him.
Did you get my report?
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. I've only paid once though.
Were there any questions on the report?
pretty much the same as it's been. Back to what Bill was talking about, I&I. This summer, when it was dry out, we were averaging about 6 million gallons a week coming into the plant. Now we're crowding 9 million gallons a week, so that tells you how much water is coming in through those pipes. Roughly 3 to 4 million gallons a week is what we're getting in, so that I&I stuff is quite important because it's costing money to treat all that water. So, that's why we talk about it all the time, but I'm keeping a weekly, or a tally from when Bush started those I&I repairs this summer. Yeah, and at that time, we were at 10 million gallons a week. And then it dried up, and we're thinking, wow, this is awesome, but once it got wet again, it creeped right back up, so I'm sure it helped, but it wasn't the cure-all for it, so. As we go forward, we keep tracking it, and hopefully we can get it tightened up.
You think that's still like loose manhole covers, that sort of thing?
No, it's gonna be sewer mains, cracks, tree roots get down in there and break one, or rock shifts and breaks one, or.
And then any water comes down through, it goes right down through the water plant.
All that water runs in. And the only way to really find it is run a camera up through there. Cedarwood has a camera, Village has a camera, but they're not made for mains, they're made for laterals. So then you gotta hire a company to come in, and that's big money to camera all these lines, and then that will show you where your problem spots are, and you can develop a plan to fix it. So, when I was in Andes, we had a very large one over there in front of the Andes Hotel, and that cut down. The flow to that plant during the wet weather was about 20,000 gallons. And now, at the time, we're talking about a plant that would only receive 50 maybe on a wet day. So we pretty much, we cut it in half over there with one fix. So if you could find your fixes, you can really slow it up. But
For a project like that, would we be able to get New York City to help kick in or something like that?
they don't really touch influence stuff a whole lot, so their focus is on
Treating what's
on
in there
treating,
and what goes up the
tertiary,
back.
what goes, the reason why they kick in inside the plant is because the sand filters create solids that go back to the head of the plant to get retreated, so then, that's where the sludge comes in, and the 20%, 20% of the bills comes in because their filter building is actually creating a mess for the village to deal with, so then they in turn have to pay for that portion of it. So when it comes to the influence stuff, it really has, just stay away from it unless you can catch them all day. But as far as this goes, no, I'd rather read them. But, you know, I know we've tried in the past at other plants we run to get them to help out on pump stations because of rag issues, and they really don't want to get involved with that because then everybody's. Other than that, all I have is this bill here. It's for $4,018.52 to Glauber Equipment. We did approve, this is just an asking for approval to pay the bill, at least the abstract. I asked for this part at the September meeting, so that's been recorded, it's here, now we just need to pay the bill.
I make the motion.
Second, pay the bill, or
$4,018.52 to Glauber.
all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That's it,
That's it.
unless you have anything. Hey, you're welcome. You want this one back? No, I've got copies of that one over there.
Trustees reports. We're gonna go over here, Steve.
Well, that $4,000, but Jason took care of it.
Good.
I don't have.
Just to repeat what we talked about with Bill earlier, I spoke with Representative Delgado's team, trying to find new sources to offset the $800,000 figure that we're looking at. They're gonna kick back some options. They say grants for that are unlikely, but there might be some other things that they're unaware of, so hopefully we can keep looking at those. But that's it.
Went to a complete streets meeting last month in Delhi. They meet quarterly, and they're a group that helps secure New York State funding for making streets more walkable and promoting exercise around the community. And they're interested in helping us look for grants. They have money to spend, and they want to spend in Walton, so we're going to be in further touch with them to see what we can do about getting some grants for this summer. I was also in touch with Maureen Blanchard at that meeting, who is the project director for creating healthy schools and communities. She was the one who helped secure the grant money for the bike racks that we just recently put in. And she would like to come and speak with the board at a future meeting to see what kind of grant money she can help secure for us as well. She seems fairly confident that she can. And the theater balcony project is ongoing, and I don't have much to report on that at the moment.
Okay.
That's mine.
We already talked about all my stuff earlier. Let's go right to number 7, 2020 Election Day designation. It's gonna be March 18th, 2020. Be right here in the Village Hall. What else do we need to know about that, Cody?
It'll be from noon till 9 p.m.
Noon to 9 p.m.
Which seats are up?
There's 2 trustee seats.
Mr. Roy and Mr. Seaman. And just a note,
These 2 seats are up.
You keep on looking, I'm from South Court, so,
These 2 seats.
got it, yes.
just a note, it is the 18th, and the 18th is a Wednesday, so it will be on a Wednesday this year instead of Tuesday. So I just need y'all to,
What are the deadlines for petitions?
I've got a
Handout
list
for
of dates down there,
Oh.
yeah. I believe they have to be
February
in,
11th.
yep,
Yes, February 11th.
is the first day that
Do you need the
somebody can,
dates?
Sure.
the last day, handed in is the 11th,
Can I have that, Steve?
and the first day is the
Get you another copy,
So
Steve.
just here.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
Copy, Steve.
What are the length of the terms of the empty seats?
2 years.
So if one was willing to commit their life again to the village of Walton, we'd have to put 2 years aside.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It is not. Look at that.
What do you think?
It's already half over.
Thank you.
It goes by quicker than you think it would.
So I need a motion
Need a
to
motion.
authorize me to put a legal ad in the newspaper.
What she said.
I motion that we put that legal ad in the newspaper.
I second it.
Motion made second to put the legal ad in the paper. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Do you know, is it 70 again, the amount of signatures someone needs?
Yes.
70?
Yep.
What is it, a discount? I had to get 100.
No, that's a good target, is 100.
I spoke to Paula at the county elections. She said 50 based on the population, but I don't know if that.
It's probably depending on what population she's looking at. I used the one from the last census, so
Okay.
it gets us right at 70.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, next thing is the Delaware County Planning Service Agreement.
So we need a motion for them to authorize you to sign this agreement with Delaware County Planning.
That doesn't involve any
It's $3,500 a year, but we budget for that, so it's in the, yep.
I make a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion made second for me to sign the Delaware County Planning Service Agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now, what is this next one? The level of
This it's
support
just,
payment. Is
it's
that the,
another invoice to, pay for the computer.
computer system? That's what I thought.
Because we're gonna get it, and it's a small company, so then you won't have to wait until February.
Okay.
What's the computer?
It's a replacement
Oh,
computer for
okay.
Joanne's
Yeah.
that you guys approved already.
Yeah.
So this is just a motion to pay the bill.
Correct.
I move to pay that bill.
Second?
Motion made, second to pay the bill to tech support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now, next, first-time home buyers, which is
That's my favorite.
W484 and W485.
Excellent.
Right, there's two applicants, and the money would be $15,000 apiece for their down payment through the first-time homebuyer program. And we just need a motion for the board to authorize both of those grants.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, seconded to do the first-time home buyers for the two applicants. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anybody got anything else, Dr. Moore? I would entertain us to go to executive session to discuss the police contract.
I move that we move into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Steve, do you anticipate taking action after executive session?
I don't think
No.
so.
I can definitely, confidently tell you no.
See, he's more confident.
All it's gonna do is